Hello. Yes, it's a new way to avoid the void of doom, which is so you always get to see the void of maybe that's not compromised. Anyway, uh, I'm back, and I did I did a whole bunch of work during the week, so this is going to be mostly catching up on that. Um, so here's everything I did. Last week we did up and down replication, and so when I did this, if you're paying attention, at some point I said I've done this before when I was working on VR stuff, which is true. And when I did it, I mean, I knew mathematically it did work. Mathematically, it was right. However, I couldn't help but feel that I was doing it way more complicated than I really needed to do. Uh, so I went back and I went, wait, how did I do this before? And the answer was not like that. So let's start by showing you that thing there, which is this one here. So remember before, in our event graph, we had a big calculation here about like whether it's more than 180 degrees or which way you're facing and doing a bunch of maths. First of all, let's go back here. First of all, and we added it to the mouse look function, and you can see here it's no longer here, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I've put it under, that's right, everybody's favorite tick function. I also put some comments and everything, so I know what the hell I'm doing. So it's in the event tick here. So here's our set look, which is the same as before, only it takes a rotation. And if we go in here, that's right, it's called maths. Get the current rotation and subtract control rotation. That gives you the same math as before. Except I get an additional little thing. Don't ask about that. This is something that Unreal Engine does. But essentially, this gives you that minus that, which is what we had before. I can stick it into a rotator and send it back. And this is the yaw, which is like turn left, turn right. I'm able to send that along. You need this -1 here because otherwise you reverse direction when you try it. But essentially, that's way simpler and easier to read than that giant mess we had before. And that giant mess is, and it's in here as opposed to in the animation profile. All right, so it's over there. It's in the guest character instead of in here. In here, all we do is set the variable and then use it. So if we look at the animation graph, we can say that this is also different. Instead of having the transform, instead of having a variable for the neck pitch and the back pitch, and then sending those both along and editing, transforming each piece depending on the two different variables we set up. What I do is, first of all, you can see here the thing called alpha. So what this is that when you do a transform, and I don't know what that guy can do, he like went in, he like turned off this pin, but it's the greatest pin in the universe. What you do is it's an alpha. So if you say I want to transform this bone 90 degrees, 90 degrees, and then I do a alpha of 0.5, which is a half, then the answer will be 45 degrees. So all you really have to do is use the total, which is the look rotator from the other side, and then do an alpha on it. So it's like, okay, we're going to, next going to be half of it. Sorry, neck alpha. So we've got the alpha that we put in, and this is a variable that I've set up. to say that how much of this is in the neck and how much of this turn is in the, how much of this pitch is in the neck and how much of this pitch is in the back. So I've said that if I can click on that, oh wait, I click on details. Thank you. So right now I'm saying half of this is in the neck, which looks good. I'm gonna get, son of a bitch. Half of it is in the neck, and I'm gonna put half of it into the other spot. Half is in the neck, half is in the back. And I take the neck, comes out. I divide it by 2 because I've got 2 bones I'm doing. The rest of it, I 1 minus, so I get the other half, whatever it is. If I set the neck part to 60%, then this would come up to 40%, right? Then I divide it by 3 because that's how many bones there are here. And all you have to do is dump into the alpha. You don't have to do any wacky math like the other guy did. I mean, it is wacky math, but it's built into the node. I don't know why I didn't do it. Anyways, so now this is exactly the same thing as before, but it's much more like contained and not crazy. So that was simplifying this look pitch calculation. I think it makes more sense if you're going to do this to use the alpha to control how much of this rotation goes into each node, each bone, than it is to do some math elsewhere. The only reason this is any near complex is because I wanted more to go into the neck than the back when looking up and down and stuff. Next thing I did is I found a guy who, I'll link him in the description there. He uses 5K to straighten up the head, and when you straighten up the head, you can clean up the camera. Because one thing you remember, when we're looking up and we look down enough, you look through your character, which wasn't great. You want to kind of avoid that if you can. So for that, you would straighten up the neck. So when you are walking, you're straighter up. When you're running, you're also straight up, because in the default animation, when you run, and I'm just going to hop over here so you can see it. Is this not the right place? Give me a second. I'm just going to turn this off. So before we run. I'm bad at animations. No, I'm just bad at looking. Here we go. So we've got walk. Ignore the beep now. Walk. Oh no, wait, this is the wrong line. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I'm too complicated for my own good. It's this one I want to skip. Straight from here all the way to the end. So I'm just going to move up to here. If you look over here, this is the old animation. And if we start running, the head comes down and forward. So if your head isn't locked, if your camera isn't locked to the body and not the head, to the body instead of the head, you end up, the front of the head ends up going into the camera, and you kind of see like the edges of the head because you're looking through the head. So what this does is it straightens up the back So I'm just going to put this back into here. Pile. There's an error. Of course there is, because I need to do the end. If you look at this, the back straightens up. The other thing that this does, and I don't know if you can see it, and I'll go here. We've done a clamp. So let me show you what I did over here. No, here. No, here. If you look down here, I've added a virtual bone. And that's a bone that's specifically for our work. It's not something you put in there for animation. It's specifically like, it's supposed to be like you don't animate completely on it. You're not supposed to. But you can add it after the fact. So we've locked it to the head, which would be okay if it weren't for the fact that we all know that if we lock a camera to this head, it's going to match the animation and it'll give you the queasy wheezies. So what this also does is that, so this green box here is the camera bone, which is locked to the head, but not completely. And there's this thing here, the little sphere. Let me see if I can. Nope, it doesn't work the way I want it. So no, nobody uses that. All right, there we go. So the sphere is this clamp here. So if the green box gets out of this circle, it will correct. Go back to walk. It will auto-correct itself. So if it gets out of the green box, it will auto-correct itself. Stay within the sphere, but it won't like move to center if it doesn't have to. So I'll show you. We start out at the start, and then what we do, ignore that, that's just setup. We come in, and if it's outside of the box, we set a variable. And then we move the camera bone to that variable. So what happens is, instead of just kind of like bouncing around at the bottom, if that variable hasn't moved, it's still within the circle, it also doesn't move. So the camera doesn't move when you walk around. The other thing that this does is it does that. It does sticking the head to the root. What that is pull up the head to match like the straight up and down of the character. So what that does is that when you move into the run, I'll move into the run, it doesn't really move forward as much. It's hard to see here because I can't move left and right without using the keyboard, which is slightly indisposed. But it moves it less so that you don't get as queasy. There isn't as much of a jump between running and walking. It doesn't really matter though, because I took out running. You're hard, don't run. I'm gonna add it back in as a weird stamina thing, but I haven't decided yet. So what this does is that puts the head at the X and the Y, so right above the root of the character. And then it puts the rotation, Z, and scale, so like where it is in space, essentially, where it would be from looking up at the walking down left, right, etc. This does nothing. Ignore it. Part of this, because this head might actually be, because this operation here might actually pull the head up too high. And actually, I'll actually show you. There's the feet. There's the feet. If I go break this link, break this link. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. That's not what I wanted to show you, unfortunately. Essentially, I've got to transform that, fix the feet to the ground. I record where the feet are in the animation, and I put them back on the ground. Otherwise, what would happen is that the character is actually, the head gets pulled up straight, but it's taller than the character. So essentially, the character's feet are dangling, which don't work because you're supposed to be walking. And the last bit here is just saving those original foot spots. That's kind of like what was happening there, that the foot is supposed to be here, but ends up in space and just dangles. That's why she looks so weird when I turn off that value. So that's this stuff here. I'm not sure it was 100% required, but I really think that it's going to improve it in the future. If we want to look at it, we can always, let me see, am I on the, yeah. I'm lucky my keyboard works and I can actually walk around. The only problem about doing the stream is that it kills the CPU. And loading becomes very hard. There we go. You can see there's this, I can host it. I could host it. Oh, it's being too choppy. I should have removed the list, shouldn't I? All right, give me a second. I'm just gonna restart Unreal Engine because it's actually been open like all weekend. And by all weekend, I mean all week. To the point where like I can't even get it to let me out. There you go. Okie dokie. So anyways, the whole point of this is that this becomes better for walking around and having that camera not bounce as much. But it's more tied to where your head is, where you're looking, and because your camera isn't bouncing and also is staying close, the head is actually, we've kind of done it in reverse. Instead of keeping the camera to the head, we've kind of kept the head closer to the camera, so you won't get that weird effect of looking through the head, looking through the body, just leaning forward into your camera's view, etc. Last thing I did was change the unease effect. I never was really satisfied with how it was done. I just followed some guy's tutorial. I didn't really understand what was happening. Oh, that's great. And it kind of worked I mean, it did work. I'm not saying it didn't work. Props to the guy who made that. But the fact that all I did was follow his, and he didn't explain his either, so that's the best I could do. What the new one does is I follow two separate examples, and the reason I did that was that in this way, I could choose to do a simpler see-through X-ray effect, and then understand what's happening. And then when you're not X-ray affecting, I use an overlay material meant to do outlines, which is also simple, and I mostly understand how it works, but not as well as X-ray. And essentially, it makes it so once this loads, I can show you what it is and actually semi-explain what's happening. And I'll show that in a bit. When I show you that, what I want to do this week is move the head, that whole thing about the alpha and the bone transformation to control rate. This stuff also is done through control rate. So if I had to move the head stuff into a control rate this week, then you can see how control rate works. And the answer is it's just the same as the animation blueprint, but the animation graph, but it's a little bit. So you can just like blend. You'll see it. It's easy once. I was like worried about, oh my god, this fucking computer. I was worried about it at first, but the answer is it's actually not that big though. And if I have time, I'll stub out the player controls and interactions. This is the idea I have. Each mouse will be on the hands. You can click on that button to grab an item or drop an item in your hand. If you want to use it, you'll have a modifier button, and then you push the button. The idea behind this is that essentially you're mostly grabbing things, and you have to be a little bit intentional when you use them, because they might be deadly. It's almost like it's some sort of deadly dinner. I love how this is supposed to be staying on top. I can stay on top the entire time. Oh, that's worse. Turn off. Oh no. How did I move it the first time? I don't know. I do a weird thing where I like grabbed it. Oh, I must have done this. Ooh. Ooh, okay. Ooh, what if I do always on top and then move it? Ha! I'll bet that works. Learning quirks of GNOME with you together. All right. And I also have a bunch of stuff that can commit, but I'll do that later. Once I get real. But which one's going to win? I don't think either of them is going to win. I think they're both hosed. I think I've been telling this one to die, but not doing anything. They're both stuck. If I kill this one, I kill both of them. That makes sense? No. Do I care? Yeah, kind of. While we're at it, I may have changed my keyboard a little bit. Oh. Like make a actual S. Move my alt tab to here. You can't see where here is because you can't see my hands, but Oh, sorry everyone. I've screwed the future this thing. I think it might be with rebooting. Well, I'll be back in a minute. BRB. Hello, I'm back. Okay, give me a second. Let me get the thing back. Guess it makes a new window when you do that, eh? Otherwise, it would just stay where I put it. Okay, then. Let's get back to where we were before. And they added things. My text editor is way at the end. It was like kind of near this. It wasn't as far back, but now it's at the end. Oh yeah. So this is what we're gonna do next, and then we're just gonna stub this out, okay? And we're not gonna have any actual grabbing things, but we'll have the player control, like the input stuff will be there. So let's just see that it's still loading up. Load, yeah, it's 35%. It's there forever. At least it loaded. Actually, I'll show you this, the needs a fast insight almost every time I have what happens there now. And only on Real Editor will show it to us. Since I have that control here, I'm going to put that up there. While I'm here, maybe I can open up. Probably open up the YouTubes. Click on it. I must have, because clicking on it doesn't make anything go away. Maybe I did. I'll try again. No, I probably did because yeah. Back to here. Hey, that's a good. Click on that one. Ah, I'm going to drop this in. Because this guy is the guy who showed us how to do all of this stuff. Then I'm just going, and then one more I want to drop in there, which is that one. this guy. This is the X-ray I'm using. You may notice it looks simpler than before, but I think that's going to look better once I do one of the other things on my list. Drop that once I remember. I also did a whole bunch of refactoring and like moved stuff up and project around. That doesn't really like help or hurt anyone. So I split our uneasy effect into two different materials. One is an outline. We click on this. Let's see if I actually understand, because it is similar than the last one. So it's just taking the color, two-sided, and we're doing like a flips for the opacity mask. We're taking the vertex normal, giving it thickness, multiply together, and adding that to the world. So the vertex normal, like so, each vertex. Oh shit! I can't show it here. The vertex has like points out from here. So vertex normal is in relation to us. So we times it by the thickness. So it's like, I wish I remembered vertex normals. I worked in a way more than like that I could enunciate in words. Multiply it by 1, and we get a world position offset. The other one is a see-through. It's still a post-process. It still looks nasty, but it's a little bit easier to wrangle. This range is how far into the space we want to be actually hitting things. And we use the custom depth of each, so each thing will have a depth, and we compare it to the screen depth. So we get, if you look at this part here, we get current depth minus seam depth, subtract. That's the same kind of thing that we're doing with our head, where it's like original position minus new position equals something we care about. We use this if. The ifs, I don't know why materials, it all looks like a blueprint, but all the like nodes look different depending where you are. It's annoying. So if it's more than the seam depth, then we say 1. That's all we do, 1. Otherwise, 0. I know that doesn't say much, but what we're saying here is that if the thing, so object that we've applied this material to, is more than the depth of the seam, so it's behind between us and there's something else, then 1, otherwise 0. So what we're saying is like, if it's behind, return 1. If it's in front or at the same layer, return 0. And then we do a multiply of the range. So on all this is figuring out if there's something there at all. So if it's 0, it's all going to be 0 and not show anything. If it's 1, it's gonna, this will turn out to be 1, and then we do like a clamp, make sure it's between 1 and 0, because that's all that this can take in. And we also do multiply on this alpha value, which is how bright we want this. We could have this like flat color, or we could have it like a little ghostly where you can see through it, translucent. And again, we multiply and clamp to make sure it's not like more than 1. And then there's our post-process input. It goes in here. That's playing with something, ignore it. Post-process input, the color the alpha into the emissive color, and this is how you see through walls. So if we smash the button, we should be able to look at this. I also added a bunch of stuff into the level so that you could actually see and play around with this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to walk away a little bit. So this character here, it's not an actual player character. It's just like a character class that dropped into the scene. This is the outline, so you can see the normals. If it's facing me, it doesn't emit. If it's facing away-ish, it does emit. And let's hold on. Let me. Am I able to track that in here? Two-sided design, vertex normal, WS times it by 1. That's man. Oh, opacity mask. There it is. Opacity mask. That's when mask mode, materials either complete visible or completely invisible. So what we're doing here is that we are saying, take a thing that's part of this thing, flip it. So 1 minus is like the opposite, and then opacity. So instead of making everything, so if it's not this, then make it opaque. Otherwise, don't make it opaque. And that's why this ends up being all the vertex normals facing, not pointing at me. And that gives you that outline effect. We walk around to the other side of this. We've got our X-ray effect. It's a little bit shaky, and that's kind of a side effect of the post-processing. I don't care, because you really don't see it that hard, and eventually I want to have the unease, quote-unquote, fumes coming off of that. That'll kind of mask that, and you won't be able to see that kind of stuff, and I'm stuck in place somehow. There we go. All right, so looking down, let me no. Sneak over here. That's how you got to do it. Click out, click in. We'll load in the second player. All right, and you can see the second player in the background there, but I'm just going to walk up. Again, replicated up, looking down. The math looks much like simpler in the blueprint because we're using alpha instead of doing our own math for that. And you may notice I did a little bit where there's a little bit of a delay on the turning, so I'm turning the head first, and then the body follows. And I'll actually show you that one because I forgot to show you that one. Essentially, in the character, is the character movement component, and it has rotation settings down here, and we're going to use controller desired rotation. So essentially you are moving towards where the controller points, which is the head. 90 is a bit too fast. I'm going to set this to 45 because I'm a dick. And it will demonstrate the point. So the rotation rate on Z, that's along the Z axis, not the Z direction. I'm stuck again. Probably done something dumb, like gotten my control key stuck. Or I busted it. I busted my keyboard? I don't know. Oh! That was unexpected. No, it's just being slow. All right. Oh, weird. Oh, you know what this is? This is no juice in the keyboard. That's usually what this is. Give me a second. I'll be right back. And by right back, I can just stay on the line. Plug in my keyboard. Can I use just this one? No. Am I prepared? No. Otherwise, I would have plugged in my keyboard before all this, right? Probably bring the bag today. I literally flashed the firmware as I was talking at the start of this call, which is probably not the best idea of all time, but something I wanted to do. So, if you don't like it, come at me. Okay, well, let's plug these guys in, and we will have a normal functioning keyboard again. When the battery runs low, it like, I don't know if you've used like something that like an old, I'm trying to say, but it doesn't work until you push it a whole bunch, because what you're doing is it buffers those things and it gets enough power to like blast it. Yeah, see, now it works fine. Get power to blast, so it's got buffered through Bluetooth, and that's what makes it look terrible. Okay, so there we go. You can see it very slowly now. If we do, we'll get back over here. So this is a good place to meet up for some examples. Excuse me. It's pollen season. Yeah, starting to walk over here. I might increase the walk speed. I haven't decided, but now you can see that definitely the body moves after the character. Walk this way. I haven't really looked at too much is, let's see, can I get this oriented this way and then go, all right. Oh, the rotation moves. Woohoo, woohoo. I'm moving too fast for the moving. I guess that's why I had it so high. There's probably a nice compromise, like 70%, you know. Oh, of course. There you go. That's a nice feel between you can see it move and you don't move at all. The other option is oriented rotation movement. I'm gonna. What this does is it doesn't turn your character around until you start moving, but it moves the character in that direction. So if you back up, the entire body moves around and walks backwards. It walks forwards, but your head is facing the same way, so you look like the Exorcist. The kid from the Exorcist, the actual Exorcist was the priest, right? Anyways, the point is that's not what we want to do. At some point, I want to write a custom rotation using this value to actually do the turning around that will work like this. It will know if you're walking backwards or forwards. Essentially, it'll try and keep it to your head. The head should be in charge, essentially. All right, I got through all this stuff. Let's do this. The reason why I do this is because you get to see what I did with the control rig and how that works. So let's do that. So we're going to make control rig. I know they usually use CR, but I want to see it to CR rig because what's the, why are you being so stingy on letters, guys? And we're going to call this one look at control direction. Yeah. And then we're going to click on big hierarchy, and we are going to import our skeleton, which is one we're using. There we go. All right, so I'll open up the camera stabilizer one so you can see what's happening. So we get forward solve, because it's all IK. And then we do things with like that. And then essentially this is the same as the animation blueprint. So what you should be able to do is grab the animation blueprint. And I believe, does this have, I can't remember if this has external. It doesn't particularly. We'll have to double check. That's a thing we can do. Let's try it. All right, we got a look rotation. And then in the NM graph, why does the NM graph always close? Am I closing it? Am I dumb? All right. We've got that. And you can see here what we've done is there's this one. It just says control rig. But what this is, if we click on it, where does it say? I'm sorry. Now I'm bad at it. Alpha pin input max head clamp pin. I added that myself. Oh, here it is. Control rig class. Sorry. All right. And if you go in the control rig in here, you see max head clamp float, and I've exposed it. So what we can do on this one is we will do the same thing. So we go into the blueprint thing, we go into the variables, and we're going to say look rotator. Be a rotation. And we're going to expose it as a pin. File, save. Great. There's it. That's fine. And we're just going to go in here and we're going to, there's neck alpha. There's actually another one, which is neck alpha. So let's do that as well. Neck alpha. Actually, we'll just call it alpha. Neck alpha. And it's a float. And we're also exposing that as a pin. So I surmise that we can take all of this. Oops, not all of it. Just this stuff. Copy. Over here. Zoom out. Paste. Or not. Give me a second. Oh, it's probably different here. All right. Yeah, it's get transform bone and then transform blah blah blah. All right, transform modify bone. Yeah, we'll have to redo it. Can we do it without have another window for this? Yes. All right, let's do that. I want 2 windows. Oh, they're gonna suck though, eh? I just split the window. All right. And where's the other one? That's that one. There's that one. All right. And I'm going to actually take this one and make it small in comparison. There you go. There we go. I know how to use Windows. Okay. So we're going to take this modify bone. So transform the bone, and it's yeah. That's why you can't just copy it. You have to do a little bit of this. So come into here. We're gonna pick a bone. And it's gonna be, what is this? Neck 01. Remember, this is neck 01. And we're going to say, excuse me, what is the actual get transform, set transform. Yeah. And then wait, I think it's going to be our, this one here. So the value, make it transform. Oh, it's going to be uglier in here, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to have to get, make it transform. Right? I'm going to have to do a get transform. Whoops. Get transform. And then we'll let it. And then do an add. So you know what? Let's not do that. Don't come clear in here. This is actually the nicer look to it. But take the lesson that all you do is you do transforms in the control rig, and then you just plug it in as part of the animation blueprint over here. I'll just close that. That's easier. I think it's a pain in the ass to do it as a control rig because you have to get set. While this one, while being part of the blueprint, works fine and looks nice. So let's just keep it there. All right. Let's do preliminary work on player controls interactions. That seems to be what Fate is pointing us at. All right. So we already have enhanced input actions for move and look. Those come from here. I don't know why I keep loading it into here, and every time I load it, it's like, oh, hey, did you wanna shrink again? I can do that. It's in here. Got asset look and move. Input action. Let's do another new input action. This is gonna be a what? Yeah, I haven't done anything with modify on Unreal Engine yet, so this might be interesting. Let's go with just start with. We'll call this left hand, and then trigger one pause action description. What? Okay, no. We won't do a left hand, or will we? Let's think about this. Let's think about this. Actually, no. Yeah, we'll do left hand. It will be within hold and released down. That's good enough. Right? I'm just gonna double check. What does our move look like? Because we're pushing buttons. Oh no, not move. God damn. 2x axis 2D. Value type axis 2D. Digital. This 1D. Vector GD. Okay. No, it's digital. It's digital because you just click on it or you don't click on it. All right, and then we save it. And then oh, I was getting ahead of myself. There you go. Input action, and this will be IA. And we're gonna do this instead because if this works, then we'll just copy paste it for the right hand. IA, or maybe can we? Okay, let's just do this first. IA use left hand. And this is also digital. What happens when it's down? Modifier. Do we have any modifiers? Zone scalar. No. Ordered action. I see. Okay. I approve. All right. So what we'll do, we'll go back to the left hand. We'll say that down actuation threshold. It's digital. We'll assign it to a key. Done. And then use is going to be left hand Um, we've got this. Oh, what goes first? Or action. Does that mean they expect me to be holding left hand when I push this button? Or can I just do it at the same time? Let's use internet. Let's see. Why do that? Tell me all the trigger states. Here we go. Trigger, no, it's not input actions. Value type, yeah, trigger. Input triggers, there we go. Trigger, there we go. That's not what I'm looking for, man. Let's keep looking. So he's got a problem with this because he doesn't think it's. Oh, no one's helping Ray in here. That's yeah, all right. So he's doing it as a platform. Yeah, all right. Let's go back to here. So we can't do it this way because essentially we're gonna end up pushing, waiting for left hand. Essentially, you're gonna have to be holding down the hand when you're pushing button. When we want to do it the other way around. So what we actually want to do, here we go. Close that. We actually want to do. First of all, we go into search. Make input action use child item. And that's just a digital. It exists in this world. And it's hold. No. Okay, option fire once or repeatedly fire. Rest. Nope. Pressed. I think it might just be pressed, right? No. Hold. Down. Down. I'm saying down. Save. And then use left hand is actually going to be the same. Yes. But it's going to be the same key, but corded with use held item. save. Oh, no, 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 sorry. Okay, so here's our mappings. We're going to add a mapping for left hand. Use and use left hand. Left mouse button. And then let's make this spacebar. That'll give me trouble. Hold on. Let's make this actually thumb mouse button, and then use left hand. Shouldn't have use left hand will also make left mouse button. I think that's how it works. Triggers. Actually, you know what? No. We can do both. But that would just mean that how does this get reported to? How does this get reported to? Let's do both, and we'll see what happens. I'm willing to do that. All right, so in here we're saying left hand, left mouse button, held item, thumb mouse button. Use left hand is also left mouse button, but should only happen all right. Oh shit, there's stuff in here. All right, hold on. I gotta go look at what I've done. Move. In move, I have nothing in there. Okay, I think that's the point. All right, that's the point. These don't actually belong here. Right, so move it just that's all that's in here. Let's save that. Save this. I'm just checking what will happen if I do trigger down, trigger also down. And this triggers that. Save. Let's see if we can hook these up. So we've got our input section that we made here. Controls. Let's grab everything, break it up. And we will add left hand. left hand. Triggered. Use. Oh, sorry. We're just putting things out now. Use modifier. Actually, in theory, we don't need that one. We should just do use left hand. And we'll print out use left hand. Let's take a look. And since I'm just gonna do one. I don't need to load two. All right. And look in the corner. I'll put our X-ray person near there, so you can keep your eye out there. Left hand. Okay. And what I said. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's easy enough. All right. That's a little bit wacky. I don't want it to be matched so much. So let's go over here instead of down for this one. We'll do pressed. And then use is also recorded. Left mouse button recorded. Use held item. Why doesn't this trigger? Oh, I think you probably have to put this on here too, right? So let's say pressed and recorded. So I think that'll do what we want. Let's see. Okay. Pressed. Okay, I could. Okay, so every time I push down, it happens once. I'll hold my modifier. That's exactly what we want. Oh my God. Okay, that's it. That's what we need. So that's good. That's stubbed out for the left hand. Now the question is there like no. We should do them separate. All right, so left hand. Let's grab this. I'm gonna put this up here because it's kind of like common between these two. Now we can do the same for right hand. I'm just wondering if it's better to, let's see, left hand, it's just still off. You type triggers, modifiers. No, we don't have any of these modifiers to do. It's on or off. What else is there? Accumulation behavior, don't care. Yeah, I think that's all we have. Okay. Then what we need to do is Still have to go back. Um, yeah. And input action. Nope. Use right hand, and we're just going to save it because, right? We do all our, it's digital, so we do all that in here. Right hand. Add left hand, or use right hand. Rest. Rest. And ported. Use held by. I will always wonder because it's like, if it's, is it because it's inside there, or is it because I created it there? Anyway, grab these because I suspect what I'm going to end up doing is making a grab drop function, and then saying what hand it comes from. So I'll just call that. Ooh. And also this. What? As I think about this, okay, follow my lead. Follow my lead. Oh. left hand. I don't know why all that opens when I edit the thing. Got two of these. One of them will be left. Another one will be right. We're going to essentially we're going to do this guy down here. I don't even remember how it like decides when this is. Oh, modifier. Oh, it's because that's up and down. WS is oh, that's next. Google input access values, modifiers, negate. Oh yes, okay. So left hand. So the trigger is going to be pressed. That will give you a 1. It's the left hand, so we're going to call that negate. This one is going to be pressed. That will give you a 1. And we won't negate it. So left hand's going to be -1. The other hand's going to be +1. And then use, close that for a bit, use, oh, why does it do this? Maybe I have to close everything like properly before it like never does it again. Use. It's going to be this one's not right mouse button, right? This one's going to be wait. Let's kill all these. I'm killing all these. We've got the hand and the left mouse. And then we're going to do the same again. Yeah, and we'll do the same again with use. And I'll probably change, actually, give me a second. I'm going to change the names while I will remember to change the name. Name this to use item modifier. I'm going to change this to say rename use held item. I don't like this where I'm like, okay, do this, then this. And that makes this happen. Then I have to define them again. I feel like I've done it wrong. maybe I have to come back and like figure out how to do it right at some point. As I feel like this should be um oops, sorry. Recorded with use held item on. I feel like how do I set that as like something you can set later? I know it's left mouse button, so in theory it shouldn't be like easy to do, but maybe it's is that why you would go in here? Maybe use that modifier. We're still keeping that left hand. I'm not keeping that. Move. Yeah, I'm keeping that. Right hand. I'm not keeping that. Hand. Is that why you would do it in here, where you trigger on something being pressed? You don't have a thing being pressed here. We just happen. I don't know what happens. A player may have mappable key settings. Ooh. But then you're in this realm of I only have one thing that I can do here, which is pressed and then not pressed. Interesting. All right. We'll explore this later. Let's make this how it was before. Pressed, ported with the use held item modifier. Save. Open up. I want to go in here. I'm lost. Here we go. Instead of doing this, we go IA and action value is going to be if oh triggered is if, and the action value is more than 0. It's going to be your right hand. Less than 0, it's going to be less than or equal to 0. It's going to be your left hand. Shouldn't fire with just 0 though. Guess we'll find out, eh? And then we'll do the same thing here. Action value is Boolean. No, we screwed it up. All right, there you go. And this will be exactly the same. I'm really not enjoying this thing. Like, not. Right. No problem. I'm just gonna type. Oh, not the right hand. It's using the right hand. Okay, here we go. And then left hand. Use left hand. Use right hand. Normal right hand. All right, that does exactly what I want. I'm gonna go look if there's a better way to do this. Like the use the help item thing. I don't think there is, but there might be a better way to like say, okay, this is you can set these somehow, right? Because that's kind of like the problem. I want to be able to set those. And these eventually, obviously. But we will figure that out another time. Let's go over here. So we have, empty hand. All right. There's one last thing that we're going to do. That's if the hand is empty, that we're going to do something different. I don't know if that like, I don't think we have that kind of thing in the input system, right? We can't go, oh, this will trigger if, yeah, there's nothing there, right? So that will be done over in here in the character class. So we'll do like right hand, and then we'll have another if has something, because that's not really an input thing, right? It's whether the hand has something in the hand or not. That doesn't come from whether you push the button or not. A bunch of variables we added. There a, anything? I don't know why I have this here. It's not type. Oh yeah, I remembered. You can't actually like set it to a variable in here without doing a bunch of bullshit, which I'm pretty sure I'm not doing. Yes, I'm not doing any of it. Yeah, I'm just using that variable there. Now I think character movement I have it set to walking is 44.7 45 centimeters a second. No, 45 169 centimeters a second, which I looked up. Average walk speed of a human being is about 175. So yeah, that worked good. Somewhere in here it says you are running after X, and it's like at 175 centimeters a second. So like depending on like, you know, that old game problem where if you add to the forward input and you add to the left input, because of Pythagoras' theorem, you go faster in the diagonal direction. So if I actually set it to like 170, 175, the character movement says, oh, now you're running, but only when you're going diagonal. So I have to set it a little bit lower than the actual average human walk speed, because otherwise you sometimes ran and you sometimes didn't. And that sometimes is when you're going diagonally. I swear there was no. But it was easier just to like set this to a meme number. And then you can crouch and do a little bit faster than you would if you were actually no, that's about right. 8.5 times 2 is 17. So about half speed crouched. I don't know if I'll keep that. I might bump that up. I don't even have crouch even implemented right now, so all right. I think that's good, right? Because all we need to do is figure out the actual interactable items that we can grab. Then we can say, are you grabbing an item? And then call the correct button here for whether you're going to drop it or not. So let's pretend this. Yes, we have an item. We're going to yes. Drop it. Or if we're not holding an item, we're going to world interaction if possible. Oh wait, sorry, that's not know that exists. Print string world interaction if possible. And then essentially we'll make this thing, what we'll do is this can become a function that takes in left or right hand as one of the inputs. Why say we will when I can just push the button? The function is and we'll take in either will be hand, which will be that float if I can, or sorry, yeah, it's a float, and then maybe world interaction, I'm not sure. Then we'll have some bullshit down here that's like hold on. It's already a local variable. I don't need that. And that'll be some sort of thing. I don't know what it is right now. I'll make it a Boolean to remind myself. This is going to go down here somehow, and it's going to tell you which hand you're going to set, and you do all these operations on that hand. That's the idea, anyways. We'll come back to this, I assure you. I would say that's pretty good for today. We got a stubbed out these input settings with a modifier, which is something I didn't think I'd get done today. I thought it would be hard, but apparently it's easy. And I'm gonna delete these before I do something like, what did I do? Saved it. Delete. 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 Watch this be the way to do things, and the thing I am doing on there is a bad way to do things, and I have to put them all back. I'll do some research on whether that's a good way to do the modifier, and also what's a good way to set up custom user-definable keys. Because one thing I'm worried about is this is a little bit prescriptive, isn't it? Right? I have to define all this twice. I go these, boom, 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 boom. So it says default, so I assume I have to be able to do a not default. You know what I mean? Well, we'll deal with that at some point later. All right, that's good enough for me, honestly. Thanks for hanging out and letting me show you what I did. Maybe next time I'll actually do it. The problem is when you're doing research, you kind of doing it to see if that's the right thing to do. But this next kind of stuff is these interactable items, which exist all over the place. And maybe figuring out if this we did this right. That should be pretty straightforward, I think. Right? Right. And last week's delay, I swear we did it. Right. So next week. We are going to, oh, wait. That's weird. Yeah, replace, yeah. That's the first time I've seen it do that. Weird, guys. Okay, Control S. Oh, I have Shift on, that's why. There we go. All right. So we'll do this, and then maybe I'll experiment with this guy at some point, which is boxing level. It's a little bit of work ahead of time. I'm going to go look up some floor plans and see if I can recreate them. And you can join me on that journey. Maybe in a couple of weeks. Maybe next week. Hopefully this will be, you know, what do you think? Should I do this one? Should I do a level first, or should I grab things first? Who knows? I'll decide sometime halfway through next week. All right. Have a good one. See you later.